Coming to you from Music City, Nashville, Tennessee, this is the Quinn Spinn. Hey now, and welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, one and all, to a brand new edition of... I ain't getting enough air for that one. The Quinn Spinn. I'm your host, Quinn. I'm back here on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Stitcher, YouTube, and more for another rousing and riveting installment of the official podcast of Underground Music Collective, the first of 2 episodes this week. You just heard Revel 9's All I've Become, our opening theme song since the great year of 2014, and it will be until the very end of days. And let me tell you something, we are so excited right now that we're doing 2 episodes a week now, not just 1, at least for the foreseeable future. Summer, might get a little complicated with like travel and Music Fest and all that, but for now, 2 episodes a week. Could be solo missions, could be OG fam episodes, could be interviews, either Zoom or on the interview set. This one was conducted over Zoom with Outlaw pop artist DEVORA, who is from Arizona, now lives in LA, and is currently on the road with Bush, coming here to Nashville, where I am right now, to the Ryman Auditorium next week on Monday, February 20th. That is President's Day. So DEVORA joins us to talk about her new EP, God is Dead, the tour with Bush, her future plans, and much more. So excited about this episode. So excited for this intriguing young artist. And we're going to get right to it. All right, y'all. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, I am very excited to be joined here today by DEVORA, who is on tour right now with Bush, coming to us from New York. And there's a show coming up next Monday on President's Day at the Ryman Auditorium, where she will be opening for Bush. She's on tour with them, has a new EP out called God is Dead. So much to talk about, so much to cover. First of all, DEVORA, thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you so much for having me. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. We were chatting a little bit about the EP and the Ryman before the show. We're going to, of course, get into all that. But before we do, I ask every new guest of the show, new or returning, the 3 standard questions. So have fun with these. Those 3 questions are: who are you? What are your passions? And why on earth would you want to come on the Quinn Spinn?
So I'm DEVORA. Nice to meet you. And my passions are music and songwriting, storytelling, writing in all forms, really. And I am coming on the show because I love the show and I love what you guys are doing, and really excited to get to talk to you today.
Likewise. And, like I said, a lot to cover here. There's so, your work's really interesting. And, it's informed so much by your background growing up in the desert, of course, from Arizona originally. And so I'm curious to dive into that and your formative experiences, what that was like, and how the people, the experiences, the places you've encountered along the way have impacted you and your musical journey.
Yeah. Definitely it's been a journey for sure. Growing up in a small desert town was definitely unconventional, and it's been a ride. I'm in LA now, but I grew up in a small town called Cave Creek, Arizona.
And so how has that made its way, that upbringing, the experiences being out there in the desert, how has that made its way into your music and what we hear?
I think for some people it's like a culture shock, like going out west and seeing, like especially the Southwest, like desert landscape and all that. But that, for me, that was just the norm, like growing up riding horses, walking out of my front door and there's cactus everywhere. That was just, the norm. So it's kind of been ingrained in me since I was like, a really little kid. And the stories and all the influences just naturally made their way into the music.
I have to say I agree, because I've driven through the desert a couple times, and growing up in New Jersey, which is so densely populated, you have towns on top of towns on top of little towns, towns within towns. Like, you go out to the desert and everything is spread out. And like you come upon a city, you know, even in like New Mexico, like take Albuquerque for example, or Tucson in Arizona, and like you go 2 minutes in any direction on the highway and you are back smack in the middle of the desert. There's nothing. Like it's a culture shock to like, you know, growing up in a place that's so densely populated and then coming through there, you know, you realize like this country's huge and there's such a different way of life depending where you're from and the experiences that you have. And
Yeah.
and musically too, you know, diverse experiences all around here. You know, we were saying before the show, you know, it's not every day you see somebody who lists Dolly Parton on their influences list right next to Nine Inch Nails, but you do, and you make it work very,
Yeah.
very well, especially here on the new EP. And so, take me through some more of your influences and how those help shape the art that you create here.
Yeah, absolutely. So growing up, I listened to, it was way before my time, like, Nine Inch Nails, Nirvana was a huge influence. Um, Listened to like everything from classic rock to, emo, My Chemical Romance, stuff like that. Like the variety and the range is so vast. And then, going to country music, like Johnny Cash was a huge influence. Um, Shania Twain, Miranda Lambert. Um, and I remember kind of growing up listening to country music and wanting to get the same, like, you know, feeling that I felt when I listened to some of the angrier, darker rock stuff. And um, I was never able to, because you know, the genre was very much, set in its place, and there was no really kind of going out of bounds with that with country. So I really wanted to explore that, and that's kind of where the whole outlaw pop thing came in, is kind of just breaking down some of those genre barriers.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, it's masterfully done. I think, especially here on the new EP, like there is definitely that like darker outlaw sense of life in the American West and kind of the other side of that that's not so picturesque, that's not romanticized, right? And that, of course, does come from those darker influences, the industrial influences like Nine Inch Nails, you know, that add that sense of like grit to it. Of course, you know, when you're talking about artists like Johnny Cash, you know, the outlaws of country music, there's a sense of grit there anyway. But I feel like it's enhanced by the moods and the soundscapes you're able to create here on the God is Dead EP. And why was it important to you to show that side of the American Western culture that we don't always get to see? You know, that's not romanticized. It's not through these rose-colored glasses.
Yeah. Um, for me, like the juxtaposition and the yin and the yang of like the beautiful versus ugly has always been kind of a theme in my music. And um, there's the glamorized images of like Route 66 and the Wild West and stuff that other countries and other areas of the USC. But there's also like the haunting side, and I really have, with that side of things too. I watch a lot of uh like true crime documentary stuff. And I'm a huge like Quentin Tarantino fan, and film is a huge influence to everything I write about. So these are things and themes that are kind of like spread throughout the music.
And I think one particularly intriguing moment is Bonesaw, of course, which there's also a music video. You touched on film there, and how it turns progressively darker, you know, from Daydream to Motel Room Nightmare. Felicity Jane Heath directed that, and really interesting juxtaposition in the imagery, you know, and of course in the lyrical content, you know, going from, you know, one mood to the next. And again, doing it in such a way that just takes the listener on a journey and takes the viewer on a journey through this video. So just take us through your inspiration behind the track and the video here and where that all came from and how it came together.
Yeah, so I really wanted to create like a visceral experience where my favorite songs that I listen to and write are the ones that are just such crystal clear storytelling imagery, where you can, you're immersed in all five senses of whatever's going on in the moment. And I really wanted to take the listeners through a journey of like, you know, um, a sort of a Bonnie and Clyde type couple that's like, seemingly has the appearance of the American dream, but then it turns twisted, and like eventually it ends up in a bone saw in a motel room sink, and story just unfolds from there. And yeah, so that's the inspiration behind that, and like, film, and I love writing songs from like a movie standpoint, like, a lot of it's influenced by film and stuff like that. So
Yeah. What I can really appreciate about the video is it's vivid, but it's minimalistic, and you're presented such a way front and center there where it's just like you're telling the story and you're just hanging on every word. But meanwhile, there's all this stuff going on behind you. These storm clouds are rolling in, there's all this darkness that's creeping in as
yeah,
the song takes a darker turn. And I feel like, that's just so, again, just so masterfully done how you didn't need much to tell the story. You just needed to be there. And then you have all this imagery going on around you to kind of enhance that imagery and enhance that feeling. And on the production end too, of course, you had some heavy hitters to help you bring everything to the next level here sonically and help really deliver those moods. I mean, you had an all-star team, really. I mean, you had Alex Aldi, Cass Dillon, Tony Hoffer all lend their different hands to the project. So, in your estimation, just working with them, what was that like? How did they help take the project to the next level?
yeah. Cass Dillon and Alex Aldi are like my brothers. They're such amazing producers, and it felt like, they were able to take my ideas and, um, you know, the stuff that I came in with and really bring it to the next level. And they're so talented, production wise, and as songwriters as well. And Tony Hoffer, who's an amazing producer and mix engineer, he mixed Bonesaw and a lot of the other songs on the EP, and that was really kind of the second to last stage before mastering. So really bringing those ideas sonically to life, and making it sound larger than life and polished, and all that. Very talented.
Is there a particular moment from the creative process, whether it's writing itself or in the production stage, that sticks out to you as memorable, or something where a light bulb went off, where you found something that you were looking for? Do you have any favorite moments like that?
Yeah, I think when I first started working with Cass and Alex, we were, in the studio the first few days, and this was like mid-pandemic, and I was kind of showing them, the ideas that I had, and they just like, of course, when it's definitely a vulnerable position to be in. You're like kind of bearing your soul and all of this stuff that you've been thinking about and writing about for years. And I remember there was this aha moment where they just got it. And, um, which is a rare thing. Like I've, worked with other producers and songwriters, and sometimes it just goes over their head. But there was a moment where everything just seemed to click, and we were all like in lockstep. And it was just an amazing experience.
Well, of course, you can all experience that. The God is Dead EP out now on all of your streaming platforms. And in support of the EP, you're on the road right now. You are on the road with Bush, who I have a history with. My sister is a huge fan of theirs. Um, and I grew up, of course, knowing their music, listening to their music as well. I actually had a chance to see them right before COVID, and those guys bring it every
Yes.
day. And so you're in New York right now as of recording. Next week, you're going to be here in Nashville with us at the hallowed Ryman Auditorium. So, first of all, what's your experience been like on the road with Bush so far? You have a couple dates under your belt. What's it been like being out there with them?
The guys are amazing. I mean, every night their show just blows away. They're beyond talent. They're just in another stratosphere, really. The crew and the team and the band themselves are just so kind and welcoming, and um, it's been a top tier experience in every sense of the word, and they've just been so welcoming and incredible, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity.
How about getting to play a place like the Ryman next week, though? By the way, I mean, historic, the Mother Church. Everybody wants to play a place like the Ryman Auditorium. So, for you,
Yeah.
to anticipate that here, like, what's that feeling like?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be able to play the Ryman. These are where, legends like Dolly Parton and, the Grand Ole Opry and Johnny Cash, my heroes that have all played this stage. And it's definitely going to be a pinch me moment for sure, like an out of body experience.
And so for those of us who are going to be there in attendance that night at the Ryman, what can we expect from your performance?
A lot of high energy. You'll hear new songs from the EP, from the second EP, songs from the first EP. Um, I have an amazing band with me. They're so kick-ass, and it's just going to be um, so fun and a really just amazing shared experience for us all.
So everybody make sure if you're in Nashville, don't miss it. DEVORA opening for Bush at the Ryman Auditorium. That is Monday, February 20th. That is President's Day. You all have off from work. I mean, maybe not the next day, but you do that day. So you have no excuse not to be there. Let's sell that sucker out. And then so a few more dates after that. Of course, some coming up here before. And then you've got the rest of 2023 to look forward to. So what's in your plans for the rest of the year?
So the plans are going to release a full-length EP. Sorry, full-length album. And also we have some more touring plans in the works. So we'll see what's next. We're working on some things right now, but it's really exciting.
Absolutely. Excited for you. And of course, to continue to follow your journey. And so, speaking of that journey, before a couple more questions before we sign off here, if there's one lesson that you've learned along the way so far as an artist, navigating this industry, that you could impart to somebody who's just starting out or looking to build their own career, what would that be?
Always trust your gut, stay with your gut instinct, and that, including with people, with situations, with creative material. Always stay true to yourself. Sometimes that's easier said than done, when you have people that have different opinions and stuff like that, but you really can't lose by being yourself and by bringing your vision and your uniqueness to the table, because in a world where everything is really, especially in music now, everything kind of sounds, there's just so many variations of the same, it feels like. And we need unique, like, something that stands out above the rest and cuts through the noise. And so as long as you stay true to that, you really can't lose.
Yeah, I love everything you just said there. Intuition, I think, is so important and so underrated. And it takes a long time, I think, to really get comfortable trusting it, because I think a lot
Yeah.
about our society teaches us not to trust our intuition and just kind of fall in line with what the expectation is. And, we see that in the industry too, where it's like, don't Boris get to the chorus. It has to sound like this. It has to be this, for it to work. And I feel like, with social media becoming more transparent, with artists, frankly, being sick of having to fit in a box, like, we are coming to a point of more authenticity, more intuitive work being put out there. And, I feel like we're really in, at the beginning of a great creative age because of that. And, work like yours that blends all these genres and influences and knows the rules enough to break them, I think is really
Yeah.
exciting, and
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited for you. It feels like, you could be on the forefront of something, something pretty big here with the movement, with this outlaw pop thing. So definitely exciting to continue to keep tabs and follow the journey for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just beginning. So
Yep. Just beginning, and we'll be here following. And of course, if you want to follow DEVORA out there, you'll have the opportunity. DEVORA, where can they learn more about you online if they want to follow along?
So I'm on, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and it's all under and Facebook, Devora Music XO. And then my website is www.devoramusic.com.
So go check it out. Again, if you're in Nashville this coming Monday at the Ryman Auditorium, that is February 20th, DEVORA opening for Bush. Yes, that Bush, the Bush who's been at it for like 30 years. Um, Yeah, like it's such an exciting time for you, exciting time for the industry. And I just want to thank you one more time for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you too at the Ryman as well. It'd be
Oh yeah,
great.
I'll be there. They gave me a photo pass, so I'm
Yay.
looking forward to that.
Amazing. Amazing.
First time ever shooting that room, first time ever being in that room for me. So it's going to be a milestone for everybody.
It's gonna be special, yeah.
All right, I'll be back to sign it off. See you soon. So there you have it, DEVORA joining us on the Quinn Spinn again. If you're in Nashville, head to the Ryman Auditorium next Monday for a high energy show from DEVORA and Bush. 2 for 1 there. It's going to be a great night. I've seen Bush before, actually. My sister's a huge fan, as I think I mentioned in the interview, and making her jealous, from all the way in New Jersey right now by getting to go to this one. So super excited. And check out DEVORA everywhere you can online, and check out the Quinn Spinn on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Stitcher, YouTube, and more, as well as on Instagram at Quinn Spinn Official. 2 N's in Quinn, 2 N's in Spin. You can learn more about the show as well at undergroundmusiccollective.com. That's our central hub for all things independent music, creativity, community, and more. Also, learn about UMC on all of the socials, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter. Follow the UMC 20 playlist on Spotify. Also, this Wednesday, February 15th, tune in to Succeeding as a Black Entrepreneur in the Music Industry. That is our first ever virtual panel. We have Lord Goldie, Vince Ashton, Sydney Eugene from LearnMBE.com, and Sasha Walton, who was on last week's edition of the Quinn Spinn of SWI Management Group. It's going to be so insightful. It's free to attend, 6 p.m. Central. It begins at 7 Eastern, 5 Mountain, 4 Pacific. And then the rest of the time zones, I guess, just kind of figure out from there. I don't know them. But yeah, tune in. It's going to be super insightful. We're really excited about this and plan for it to be the first of many educational experiences to come. Revel 9's All I've Become going to take us out just like it brought us in. The end instead of the beginning. I'll see you next time. Now